And then what else would be important about this new moon in Aries?
So the moon and the sun are connected. And if you want to look at it from a yogic perspective, like the moon is in the medulla and the sun is in the sort of pineal gland, but they're
Mm-hmm.
actually the feminine and masculine poles of the sixth chakra. They're not two different centers. The sun can be quite powerful at that point because the moon is really passive. It's not reflecting any of the sun's light. And so that's why the sign of the new moon is so important for the new cycle, because it's almost like it's getting an imprint from the sun during that time. And when the sun is in Aries, it's at its most powerful point because it's pure fire. In Aries, the light of the sun is so powerful. And so right now, the main thing for me about the new moon is actually the sun, and that the sun is it's such a powerful point right now that this emotional and subconscious cycle we're about to go through in the next month, 2 weeks, depending on how you look at it, is all about new beginnings. And so the emotional like tenor of the planet is going to take its marching orders from the sun in Aries.
When you spoke about the importance of the sun and how the moon and the sun are connected, and the sun connects with the pineal gland, it's almost like the sun, which is electricity, right? If that's the pineal gland, that's what happens where the pineal gland is. You've got your cerebral spinal fluid that taps against the pineal gland and it releases DMT. If the moon is passive, maybe there's more activity through the pineal gland.
Yeah.
In a sense, this is your time for inspiration, of new beginnings, of vision time. Also, this is when we're talking about new beginnings, it's manifestation. When
Right.
you're releasing DMT, that DMT is traveling and lighting up the spinal fluid, and that runs all the way down your spine, right?
Well, and the medulla, so I think you're totally right. Like the medulla, which is the moon, is in the just above the back of the neck, right? Right in the back of the cranium. And so that is the moon, which is our subconscious mind, which can be nurturing and all these beautiful things. But also for most people, it's agitated by childhood fears, childhood imprints. It reflects all of the fears of our lower chakras in the medulla. And so if that's flared up, it's almost like an inflamed artery or an inflamed airway that's blocking the spinal fluid from reaching the pineal gland. At its lowest level of activation, which is during a new moon, there's fewer disturbances in that channel for energy to reach the pineal gland. And it just gets me to think how in sort of the yogic tradition in India, the new moon is a great time to meditate because the emotional energy and the subconscious mind are at their stillest. So now with this sun being so powerful in Aries, it's like now that that's happened, we need to get on board with where we want to go next. Not just for the next 2 weeks, but for like the rest of our life. And where do we want to take the planet? So many profound transits in the last few months. This moon going into this summer, sort of coming out of quarantine, is like the beginning of a huge cycle in world history. Like maybe not even just a century, maybe for a millennium, you know? I don't know. I can't speak with authority on that, but I do feel that the fact that we just went through such a death of on the planet of old ways, of old ideas, even physically, like people are doubting the sustainability of the old way even with the banking system, even with the political systems, with all these ideas, even with big pharma and medicine, all this stuff's getting thrown into question more than it ever has coming out of quarantine with this new moon, with how powerful all the transits have been. It could be the beginning of a huge new cycle.